So I'm going to share with you what this looks like and how it works. I did order some parts so we can maybe put one of these together, but for right now I just want to show you what it looks like on the inside and how it works, and then to get you motivated to maybe build something like this. They're not hard to build. It's not a real tough build. You can get most of the things on Amazon and most of the things at your hardware store as far as this little box. And they got such good boxes. Like at a hardware store, you don't even know. Like these little containers right here have some really cool, nerdy boxes that I've been taking advantage of for electronics. I didn't even know they existed. If I knew this stuff existed when I was a kid, it'd be done. Okay, so let's look on the inside of this. So what we're looking at is we have right now 3 sensors. So here's your motion sensor. Okay, this one right here is your temperature, air quality, and humidity sensor, and this is my light sensor. In the new ones I'm making, which I have to get more parts from China because they're the only place that have these new sensors, there's a new sensor on the market that deals with radar. Okay, so basically I could tell if there's a human in a room at a certain frequency, if they're in motion or if they are stagnant. So I have been building those, and those are my newest ones. I'm not ready to release that one yet because the parts are really hard to get. So they're bad enough as it is. This is the ESP 8266, or yeah, this is not an ESP32. I would build the newer ones out of ESP32s. I got codes for both. I'll share both in the long run and how to build it in a schematic. Okay, so that would be fun. Alright, so now I get to share with you, like how to program it. How do you program these? So I'm porting over from another system, and I copied down all my YAML that I wrote. I can share with you the YAML too as soon as I get rid of all my username and password. So you're going to see sometimes that I'm not sharing with you some things because there's some username and passwords obviously I can't share. And what I want to do is I go to my ESP home, and I'm going to be making a new one. This one's going to be Dexter Multi ESP30. Oh, this one is not an ESP2. It's an ESP8266. I'm going to skip that. Okay, you might not see the next step because it's got a username and password on it, but I'm going to paste it in here, and then I'm going to skip around. Okay, so I hid my password, and now I'm going to save this up. So with this many sensors on this little tiny microprocessor, this microprocessor is like the ESP32, but it can handle only so many things. This is like an older variation before they got really cool. So this one doesn't have Bluetooth integration or anything like that. It's a really low powered microcontroller. Okay, so I'm going to plug it into my ESP home, program it, and it's going to continue to do this, and when it gets done, I'll meet you back here. Alright, so now that that is done, we are going to kind of look at it. It's got poor internet quality right now because of the simple fact that it's sitting next to me in this little tiny nook in a room that does not have good Wi-Fi. Okay, so. And let me just make sure that I'm doing my screen. Yep, cool. Screen check. Alright, so now that it's on my network, I go in here and see that Dexter Multi is officially offline. Okay, so what that means is it's not really receiving the power that it needs, and it's not receiving the Wi-Fi that it needs. So I'm just going to put it back together, and I'm going to go put it back in his room, and then I'll show you how to integrate it into Home Assistant, what I just did. Okay, so now we have contact with Dexter's room. Cool. Alright, so let's go take a look at that. So first off, let's look at the logs of this thing. And you can see what it's doing is it's got temperature, it's got pressure, it's got humidity, it's got gas. Come on, kids, that's funny, right? Only sensor that you can like sense a fart in a room. Lights, all kinds of good stuff. So, and here's the data being poured in right now. So his temperature is at 26 degrees Celsius. He's got pressure in HPAs. So one of the things is we have to build now some gauges in order for him to understand what that all means. As a kid that's like 10, you know, what does that mean? Okay, so we have to build him a card first. So we'll go to Overview, we'll go to Edit Dashboards, and then go to Manage Dashboards, and then we're going to add a new card for him. Dexter Room. Cool. I have some older data so his sensors, this is what his room looked like before. So I have to rebuild all this, and this helps me remember some of this stuff because there's areas for each one that is like hotter, colder. So for example, what does pressure mean? And what is the limit of pressure for HPA? So I had to do all kinds of cool research for this. So we'll start with something really easy like light levels, okay? Like the light in your room is either lit or not lit, okay? So there's no safety for lit or unlit, right? So when it goes down, I know that he's got his lights off or he went to bed. Okay, so I'm going to manage his old dashboard and then rebuild it on the other one. So this is what I'm looking at right here, the 272, 0, and 1024 levels of the sensor. Okay, so this data is coming in, and it comes in as numbers. So 272.0.24. Then I hop over to my new one. Okay, we go to Dexter's room. So I'll just go into Dexter's room. And right now there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here, so I'm going to wipe it all out. I'm going to edit dashboard, start with an empty dashboard, take control. And then we're going to add a card called a sensor. And the sensor we want to use is not here yet, so we got to hook it up. Alright, so let's go to ESP Home, make sure it's online, and then we got to go over to our notification, check it out, And sure enough, Dexter area, Dexter multi is right here. Okay, we're going to configure it and say submit. And it's going to go into a new area in here called Dexter room. Okay. Cool. Let's finish that up. And here is Dexter multi. Here's the device. And look at all that cool stuff. Look at that. So first off, just this, this alone is pretty sweet. So I'm going to add this to the dashboard. Next, I'm going to add this signal strength. This will tell me how his signal is doing on his sensor. Okay, so let's go into Dexter land now. And this is what he has right now. So clearly, it already looks kind of neater. So what does 117 ohms mean in light? Okay, we have to convert that over to light. So I'm going to edit dashboard. And I'm not seeing like a good representation of that yet. So let me go to here. So here's Dexter light levels. Let's go click on that one by entity. Pick a different card. Yeah, this is what I want. I want a gauge. Yeah, those are sweet, right? Okay. So divine severity. I want a needle. Yeah. So here's the minimum and maximum of it. So that's back here. So the minimum, so there's a green, yellow, and red that I had. So I'm going to add that here. Green, yellow, red. Good. And the minimum was 0 to 1024. Because it's gauging the resistance of a sensor. And usually it goes to 1024 levels. Some of the higher ones it has a little bit more resolution to it, but since it's the ESP 866, it only has a few levels. And now it wants me to define the green, yellow, and red. So I'm going to define green to be 272. The yellow, I'm going to 0, and the red 1024. And by stating yellow to be 0, there is no midpoint. You know, it doesn't like 0 for some reason. So let's Dexter light levels, and I like that just the way it is. Name, I would like the units to be something that he can look up for himself. So I know those are lumens. I'm just looking at what I had that at. So he has it. Oh, he has it in ohms. do that. Sweet. So if I wanted to put lumens down, I could, but again, the math wasn't there. So now the sensor is only dictating, hey, in the green areas, the light in the room is you can see things. Okay, when it hits this area right here, you're not going to see anything. Okay, that's the difference. So now I know he's in his room and the lights are on. But it looks cooler than having 730 ohms being represented over here. I would argue that this is cool too, because I can use this to kick on his heater or kick on anything else he might need in his room automatically based upon these numbers. Like, for example, he would have one of those little humidifier things, or he could and he does have a heater, so he can have his heater on when it reaches a certain temperature in his room, and the PI what do they call that, PID? Yeah, PID will kick in and then turn the heater off when it reaches a certain temperature. Cool stuff. Alright, so that's how you add sensor data in here as a gauge. Alright, so now I'm going to show that you don't have to type all of that stuff in. You only have to do it once. Okay? So here's my old instance of Dexter's room. So I'm going to share with you, this is all of Dexter's good stuff that he had on his old cards. It would be easy to eliminate things, but harder to add things. So what you could do is you just basically go into his card and edit dashboard, and then you could say edit, use raw code configuration editor, and you could straight up just Command A, Command C, copy everything here, and then go over here to his new room and do the same thing, but paste it all in. So that's the power of YAML. That separates the fact that you are now using Home Assistant and not Amazon or Google, because you can do all of that at once. All your hard work does not go away. I'm going to take the users out of here. Okay. And it's probably going to give me a fussy message because I didn't space that right. So, oh, it worked. Wow. Sweet. So YAML's based on spaces. So these spaces, these tabs, are really picky when it comes down to it. So if you get something that pastes in pretty well, you're good to go. So let's go take a look after I save that. Let's edit it, and boom, there's all his stuff. Now some things don't work because I haven't integrated those in yet. But now, since that's the case, I can just eliminate these or point them at new sensors that I bring in. So I haven't brought in all his sensors, but at least I know which ones I haven't brought in now. So now I have his temperature, his pressure, everything else already in here. I haven't integrated his calendar or anything. So on a daily basis, Dexter, he wakes up in the morning, he's like, oh, I got chores to do, So he's got his morning routine, you know what I mean? That's what his things are. And his sister Scarlett has some stuff too. So these sensors right here are offline right now until I hook them all up, but I'm going to do that with you, and we're going to hook up his environment so that things click on that he needs. For example, like all of his heaters and stuff. Okay, cool. So that's how you bring it in as a mass level. And as we go on, we'll hook up the rest of these things. Right now, I can tell he's in the room, but not. So he might not be moving around. So I can't use that to trigger anything. Let's say I turn on his heater. What would be the point of heating a room with nobody in it? There is no point. But we do that every day, right? We do that every day. We heat a room with nobody in it. So we now need another sensor in there that says, hey, there's a body in the room. We could use the temperature in the room. So the temperature is 74 degrees, and when it reaches a certain temperature, it says, okay, what about people? Okay, people. I don't see anybody moving around. What about a body in the room? Oh, I see a body in the room. Okay, he might be sleeping. So we can write something that says when a person is sleeping at a certain hour and not moving around, turn on the heater. Such a logic thing. It's so sweet. Alright, so I'm going to hit done. So that's how you copy a mass amount of things over. If you want to work really hard on this and make all your sensors, and if you ever want to go over and use them somewhere else in your Home Assistant, you can. You just copy paste them over. Alright, cool. And that's it for this video. I'm going to have another video where I bring in his presence sensor from the Cara network, and that's a whole new ball game. So I hope you enjoyed.